So, um, I've installed a pop filter of my microphone, by which I mean I've sticky taped the pop filter of a different microphone over the Vase microphone. We'll see if that helps. So here we are, zooming around in space. Jolly good. Here's some spheres in front of me. So I've got selection working a bit better now. So green means when you release the button, you're going to select it. Red means when you release the button, you're going to deselect it. So things with the blue border around them are selected, just like that. You can just tap them one, add individual things, remove that one, add that one, that one, that one. It works pretty nicely. I like it. It's pretty natural. Feels pretty nifty. Now, next thing I'm looking at is issuing orders. So I've got a little screen attached to my controller. Now I'm going to work out some way of making it dynamically show and hide it. And as you can see, this is just says GUI demo. So obviously I've repurposed that from a pretty helpful demo. It took a long while to get it working. There was some weirdness with canvases and getting them to work properly. So you see I've got a cursor that's just a white box. And you see that it doesn't quite line up with where the controller's pointing. But anyway, I'll work on that. So the idea is you'll select a group of units. Oops, I just banged my desk. And then you go like move, and then you'll get a sort of orb on your controller there, and then you'll place. You'll go over here and say, okay, you guys move here. You go pull the trigger here, and that would give the selected units the order to go here. I've got continue on the screen on the little GUI here set up to deselect at the moment. So select those, new game, move, order, whatever, attack aggressively here, and then click it, and then they'll all move there, or whatever. Not quite sure what I'm going to do for this, what I'm going to put on here, because I don't want too much on here. I don't want to add like another screen on the back or whatever, and I want to somehow hide it so when you don't need it, it's not there. So maybe, I mean, a few of the Steam VR, a few of the lab demos. Oh, where did I see it? There was, that's right, it was the Unity debugging thing you could attach to the controller, and you couldn't see it from behind, like it didn't draw if you weren't looking at it from the right direction. This one draws from both directions, and it worked all right. Like you wouldn't even notice it holding like this because your perspective is on this side of the plane on which it's drawn. So you only really see it if you turn your hand that way. So maybe that's an option. Or I can have it hide until your controller's pointing at it, but then you may not even notice that it's there. So there's a few options there. I could use this button up on the top here, above the touchpad to bring up the menu. So you can when you hold that button down, it shows the menu. But I find personally that button's a bit difficult to press. You can see it going in there. You sort of have to shift your natural grip to reach that button up there. Like ordinarily your grip is down. I'm moving my hand around in physical reality and you can't see it. It's not very useful. But you sort of have to comfortably reach that. It has to be under your thumb. But then you're going to move up to get to that button. I don't really like using that button. And the button you see underneath the touchpad is reserved for system use. So you can't use it. You shouldn't use it. I'm using the grip buttons on the side of the controllers to grab space at the moment, as opposed to the trigger, because I want the trigger available for issuing orders and interacting with the menu, that kind of stuff. That's going to stay as is for now, I think. A lot of people don't like the grip buttons, but I find they're all right. Like you don't need to line your hand up or anything. You just squeeze the controller and the grip buttons are pressed. They're relatively well designed. You see over there, there's another GUI that I've been experimenting with. So yeah, that's how I'm going to be issuing orders. I want to make it hidden somehow, less obtrusive, intrusive. Oh, just lost tracking for a moment there. My computer room isn't great for tracking. So yeah, that's where we're at. So next up, I want to try to work out exactly what should be on here and how orders work, like whether I want to be able to, like if I haven't got anything selected, oh yeah, you can double tap. So if you select something, you can double tap the right hand of the touchpad and it deselects everything. So if I select a few things and issue an order, okay, so I want to, aggressively move here. I want to be able to like chain orders, so move here and then turn in this direction, move here and face that direction. And I also want to be able to Say you issue an order to those dudes and you say, okay, go to that star and pretend that star there is the order marker that they're all going towards. I want to be able to go, oh yeah, shit, those two goes, you go there too. And so if everybody hasn't reached the destination yet, that order is still outstanding and you can send more people to it or something like that. And then maybe once everybody who's heading for that thing has reached it or completed that objective, then destroy it. And I also want to be able to chain them. So if I tell these people to move here, then move over here, then I want anyone who I have told to go there to also go there, like sequence the orders one after the other. But it's a bit of a challenge to construct an interface that does that intuitively and also, I forgot the second half of what I was saying. Anyway, it's an interesting challenge. I'm working on it. So yeah, orders and stuff is next up. And oh yeah, after that is scaling. So that's something I've been thinking about is how to manage scale. So when you're looking at the galaxy from this perspective, this ugly ball of light, what's the ship look like? You can't see a ship because if that's a star, I mean, the scale is drastically out. But if that were a star, a ship would be a tiny infinitesimal speck next to it. So at some point, I have to transition from drawing the 3D model, as I have here, to drawing some sort of abstract representation of the model. I'm thinking there's a couple of different ways, either transition from the actual model to a abstract representation, so like an icon of the ship, or an icon of the biggest ship in that fleet, or something like that. Or the other option is to set a minimum size for the biggest ship in a fleet. So when you zoom out, all the other little ones wink out of existence, but the biggest ship in that fleet represents that fleet, and it shows its model doesn't scale below a certain size, so you can always see it there. And I want to be able to grab the biggest ship in that fleet and tell it to go there, and everything in that fleet will follow it there. Like it is a proxy for all the ships that are hidden behind it or inside it. The other option is some sort of another icon, like an abstract representation, but have a little list in a box that shows not a text list, but a series of dots or little sigils or something that represent the units that are combined into that icon. So like a fleet icon with a little box adjacent to it. Whoa, lost tracking again. There's a little box, that's really disturbing. Little box next to it that has like a series of dots and dashes and bigger blobs and small blobs and shapes that represent the bigger ships. So you can see at a glance, ah yes, that's my big fleet with 2 cruisers and a carrier and 4 frigates and a corvette or something. So I don't know, I've got options. Lots of options. Quit. Ah, that's right, that doesn't do anything yet. Okay, bye-bye.